Hi,
Hi.
Cesar.
Hi, how are you guys?
Yeah, good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Um, Yesterday, Terry and I took a walk to the park, and it was the evening time, so it was probably dusk. And out of nowhere, this dog came and started running around us and growling and barking, and I got really, really scared. And afterwards, my body was shaking because I get afraid of dogs that are a bit wild. And Terry told me to just observe what's happening in my body, but not to allow it to like overtake me.
Was it a
And
was it a dingo?
I think I get that in certain, probably it was a black dingo. But I just, and then afterwards it dissipated and I was fine. But in that moment, I just felt like that was the only thing that was happening to my body. And I couldn't figure out because it was so scary. Like I shook and and he was fine. Um, so in like uncomfortable or scary situations, how do you not completely allow your nervous system to go nuts and calm the mind and know that you're safe? And even if you weren't, that it's okay.
Your mind should have stopped. Should have been in shock, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you had in your mind disappeared. Yes? So
Yeah.
the
And
dog
the
is
body was just,
the dog is your guru.
you know what? Someone told me that before,
Made your
that the dogs are my guru.
see, even the experience of the cell, the so-called heart, the so-called vibration, can be experienced in such a state. The thing is that we don't pay attention to it, we don't notice it. Something from within rushes up. And that's what does that. This is what switches on the self-defense mechanism in the body, the physical fear, the adrenaline rush.
Mm. It's
So
just not nice. So I was just wondering because I like to walk and there's always loose dogs at this park we go to. And I was thinking, well, maybe I just don't go there. But I try to challenge myself to go so I don't, so I can overcome this kind of fear.
you know, carry a stick with you and threaten them that you're gonna hit them. Just don't do it.
Well, I was thinking maybe I could get like a spray, like they have bear spray, have doggy spray.
Oh, see, sometimes if we show submission, they're territorial, especially I'm right now, it was a dingo. These dogs are like the like in Thailand they have the same kind of dogs, okay, the wild dogs. But if you look down, okay, and look away and you show submission, right? They don't feel you like a threat. They make the point, trying to make a point. See, this area is mine. Behavior,
Oh,
but it's but it's the dog is here, and I put my head down and look away. I mean, I look away in a way that I'm still in the dog, right? The dog may leave me alone. You just don't move.
yeah.
Put your head down and feel it. Feel it that yes, that you're humble, right? This is your territory. Sorry, they
Mhm.
don't feel it. They feel it. Animals in general feel it.
Ah, yeah. So there were a lot of dogs in Thailand that just ran around.
Yes. If you're afraid, okay, there is a rush of adrenaline. The animal can feel it.
Yeah.
And it's the same fear that the animal, right? Because it's afraid in a way.
Hmm.
That's why it wants to chase you away. There's a rush of adrenaline in the animal. Even the hair just pokes, right? Pokes. Pokes up. How do you say?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah. Pokes up.
That's what I normally do. When I was in Thailand, the same. I just will stop and look away, and so the dog doesn't feel threatened by me.
Yeah.
They
Because
normally,
if you were to go like rawr,
no,
then it
but
would feel.
that's what they're trying to tell you. Come to tell you, hey, madam, right? You're in my territory because we are. When people were mistreating the animals, monkeys and dogs in Ramana ashram, Ramana will say, hey, leave them alone. Okay? We are the foreigners here. They were here before we arrived. So if they could speak, they will see, they will claim the
Hmm.
territory. So if you're in their territory, then we just simply show respect.
Yeah.
That's when you go to somebody's house. You don't get to somebody's house and start taking things and opening the fridge and start cooking. start, uh,
Hmm.
and they will recognize you again. They will not forget you. They will not forget your smell or your physical appearance.
Ah.
And they will sense that you are there. Well, the approach may be different, right? Because,
Hmm.
okay, this one is not a threat. Let her in.
Hmm.
If there is no ego, this reaction is automatic and you understand it. You just stop because they're expecting you to fight. They really have no reason why to go straight
Ah,
and
right.
have no reason why to go straight to fight you, to bite you, right?
So eventually they'll just leave you alone.
Yes. What the dogs do when the bigger dog attacks them, it shows submission, right?
Hmm.
And even rolls over like, okay, 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 okay. But if the other one fights back, right? And then the battle begins.
Yep. Then they start fighting. I guess it's the same in human nature.
The same, the same, the same.
If someone comes into your territory and starts to
There is
change things and they don't act humble, then you get your back up.
ego is in the animal too.
Mm.
The dog doesn't call itself a dog, but no, it is a dog. So it thinks I'm this, believe it is this, right?
Mm.
Remember, we spoke about it. This is a self-defense mechanism. See, the instinct
Yeah.
survival kicks in, right? And that comes with a huge
Yep.
rush of adrenaline, and the heartbeat just tum, 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 tum. and is ready to fight
Mhm.
death, right? Men are the same because it sees another. See, one dog sees another dog, right? A man
Mhm.
sees another man. Right? Is it
Mhm.
for identity? You see nobody. You see just yourself. This is why the sage is peaceful.
Yeah.
He doesn't go here and there threatening anybody. It's not a threat. It's not a threat to no one. It may be perceived as a threat, but it isn't. And it doesn't perceive
Mhm.
anybody as a threat neither. Even when it is, even when that person may be threatening,
Yeah.
it simply doesn't react.
Yeah. That's what I need to work on is the non-reaction. It's so quick to happen.
Not mental reaction. Physical reaction is somebody, Ramana said, for example, if somebody tells me that get out of here, right? I will take it as God, right? Telling me through that man that I have to get out and I will get out of here. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you can detach yourself. You detach yourself from everything. That place, you don't mind to be there, you don't mind not to be there. So it's going to be a problem. Why put the body in risk, right? In jeopardy that somebody's going to beat it or whatever. You just move on. You just,
Yeah. Because that is the ego when people fight and neither of them will budge.
yeah,
Yeah. Just walk away.
this is me versus me.
That's true. That's true.
It can be physical, it can be intellectual, it can be financial, right? When people get divorced, if they
Yeah.
fight over the material objects in the house, who will keep the car, who will keep the kids, right? Who will keep the money, how much and all that. That's a legal fight. That's a fight.
Mm.
Intellectual, right? Intellectual can be material, can be the scientists arguing about this theory or that theory, and so on. Spiritual people also aggressively. There's some sort of a passive
Yeah.
aggressiveness is religious people, spiritual minded people also. There's a conflict. There's a conflict of ideas. And I wouldn't see,
Because you don't believe what I believe.
yeah, I wouldn't even say, all these ideas, there is the I idea with its ideas, and there is the I idea here with its idea. It's the same I. See, I and my ideas, and this also says I and my ideas. So it is I versus I, me versus me.
Mm.
I was watching a video the other day, now that you mention it. This man in Africa, yes, he works in all these game parks,
Yeah.
Kruger Park and so on in South Africa, that the elephant is just charging towards him and he shows no fear. And he says, hey,
Yeah.
go back. And the animal doesn't know what to do with it,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
No fear. And the guy says,
No.
he's not afraid, right?
And the elephant just retreated.
Just retreats. Yeah. He freaks out for a while,
Oh,
but eventually he retreats.
that'd be great.
When the bears, he says, don't never run when a bear chases you, don't run. So you just face it and pretend that you are bigger than him, so you no fear.
Yeah.
So it will, what's going on with this? Even go to fight with somebody, right? And this person shows no fear, then I am afraid because he's not afraid of me.
Yeah.
Or this man is going to beat the crap out of me. Right? Or this is going to go, no fear, right? This is why, see, people like Ramana and so on, the animals were not, they never bothered him.
Mm.
They will feel it, they even will behave with intelligence, they will recognize that this, who is this guy?
Because he didn't have fear.
Imagine Ramana Maharshi, for example, even at that time in Tiruvannamalai. There was nothing there. There's a jungle. It is said at that
Oh,
time still there were tigers and 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 elephants and stuff there. And he was just living there in a cave, wandering
oh,
around.
wow.
Could have faced any kind of anything. There is a story that he was seated and somebody was there with him. And then a snake came, he just crawled over him, he just uh, crawled over his legs and carry on.
Because
And somebody asked
he
him,
didn't react.
no, he didn't react. And he said, well, Bhagavan, what did you feel? Something wet and warm. They were asking, what do you feel? Like fear or something? No, there was something wet and warm.
Wow.
So the animal says there's no threat. I will just. Also, he used to be so still that you didn't even know what was more still and more quiet. Him or the rock he was sitting on.
Mm.
That experience maybe left an imprint in your mind, right? And you may be conditioned to react in the same way. See? You may go with it, even with a predisposition that it may happen. And you will be, see, there are no dogs, but you think there is one around. See?
Mm-hmm.
And you will be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Always looking around. But it was funny because at that exact same place, another dog similar to it had jumped up onto the little platform where I was. And I asked the owner to get the dog away from me. And he goes, oh, are you afraid of dogs? Then you shouldn't be at a dog park. And I'm like, but there's exercise equipment here for humans. So I can come here. So we were battling our egos. So it
Yes.
was like, and I was just talking to Terry that probably 2 minutes before, and I go, I don't know why I don't walk as much here, living here, than I did anywhere else that I've ever lived. And then the dog came, and I'm like, that's why I don't like walking around here, because there's always the potential for an animal. So yeah, it's I'm conditioned to think, oh, there might be a threat. Definitely.
Yes.
Conditioning's funny, isn't it? I
And
always think, when you go to sleep, you should be able to erase the conditioning and wake up new.
you can't, that doesn't, it happens only if you do it consciously.
Hmm.
Who is afraid?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because fear is a thought.
True.
You wouldn't be afraid of anything if that something wouldn't have threatened you before, because you have no preconceived idea. So the experience leaves an imprint, and then we are worried is gonna. We are afraid already. We see the animal or whoever, we already are afraid, right? And the other one may feel it, and it says, "Here it is."
Yeah.
You already gave food for conflict.
Mm.
You, without even knowing it, threw already the first stone.
It's kind of like dolphins and sharks, you know, we're conditioned to, well, if you see a shark in the water, we see what's on TV. But if you see a dolphin, you're okay. Yeah.
Touch the belly of a pregnant dolphin and see how it goes.
Oh, wouldn't be very happy.
So all this is very relative.
Mm. Mm.
Now forget about it.
Mm.
You brought the dingo to your house in your head.
I remember my freshman year of high school, a beagle followed me home, and I was okay because he was cute. He would just came home with me, and we found out it was our neighbor's dog, and he was a happy doggy. So, like with beagles, I think they're cute, but other dogs that look scary, yeah, I'm conditioned to be afraid. I should just imagine all dogs are beagles. Yeah, yeah. Mm. I actually work with a lot of dogs in my job.
Today is dog night.
So it's probably the same thing. Don't be afraid of the people at work.
This is a famous song. I love this Florence and the Machine. I think.
Oh yeah.
Saying that song, Dog's Days Are Over. That's, do you know that song? Dog's Days
I
Are
do.
Over. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
Leave it now. Otherwise, it will be doggy night. You know, me and the dog.
Yeah. I like her music. She has good songs.
Susie, still is upset with me.
Hmm?
Thinking in loud voice. Okay, what else apart from
I actually do have one more thing. I've moved a lot in my life, and sometimes when I'm somewhere for too long, I get unsettled and I want to move again. But I try to, because I know a lot of great teachers are like, you don't need to travel, you can travel within. You don't need to physically go places. But I sometimes feel like, okay, what's next? Because I feel like there's a big world out there that I should see and experience and meet and da da da. So I get a bit unsettled in my world. And I'm working on that because you can't just, say, okay, we're going to go again, especially when you're established. So I don't know how to navigate that, because I think Terry talked to you yesterday about moving, and it's like he's so comfortable and he has his family here, but I don't have any family here. So I'm like, yeah, I'm happy to go to the next place. So it's like trying to manage that between two people.
See, I never lived more than 18 months in the same place since I am 18. For all the movements were due to circumstances, right?
Yeah.
I also wanted to travel and all that stuff, but it was never possible. I
Yeah.
have the means to do so. After my trip to India, I didn't start traveling.
In Lithuania?
Yeah, Lithuania, then Russia, Ukraine, but it was due to circumstances.
Hmm.
Right? So in this sense, I can tell. See, here I can't say anything. Only you know why you want to move out of restlessness, out of a possibility, right? Out of a demand, right, to move.
Hmm.
This is
But what I realized, because I moved so much, I mean, I had circumstances where I had to move as well, but I moved so much, I realized you can't run from anything because you come with you. And I think that's always the thing, like where I wasn't totally happy. So I thought, oh, if I move here, I'll be happy.
what you call happiness is pleasantness. There is nothing wrong with pleasantness, right?
Hmm.
I guess apart from the cold, see,
Yeah.
I would be in Iceland, right?
Yeah.
Right? Or
Yeah.
Finland or something like that, right? But people are happy because it is comfortable.
Hmm.
So there are some sort of security, right?
Yeah.
But it is external happiness, right?
Yeah.
Happiness that derives from apparently from an object, see, from the environment,
Hmm.
not real happiness. Real happiness, Ramana sitting, they say, I can be happy sitting on that pile of rubbish. See, I can be happy, I am happy already. So I can be happy
Yeah.
here, there, like this, or like that. Mm. When I was in Puttaparthi, I was happy to be with God because still I believe that God was a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you realize there is the person, an impersonal inner feeling, right? Then you're still happy to be with God. Uh, well, at some point, the dreaming is to be with Him, is to be Him. Then, when you have real satisfaction, inner satisfaction, right? Here, there, this, and that doesn't matter that much. I mean, don't take me wrong. If you have the means to be comfortable, okay. But to be honest with you, the more comfortable we get, there's a tendency to be more dull.
Yeah. Yeah. And just doing the same routine every day,
And
that
then
drives me nuts.
we get tired and bored. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can lock me in this room. See, if I have to have a seat, at least something to eat, see, to sleep, it's okay. Even if I don't have to see anybody, it will be perfect.
Actually, yeah. That's probably sometimes the hardest part, is knowing I have to go out into traffic and deal with all the people really bothers me.
Also, you cannot be an ostrich, right?
Yeah.
Mhm. Not even Ramana could be left alone forever. See. And if you're meant to do this, even if you hide under a rock, people will lift it and find you. Can I ask you a
Yeah.
question? Small question.
Yeah.
I have a small, because you are meant to speak about that. That will bring the people for you to speak about that. Because that is the duet of bringing people to hear about that and to speak about that. If there is no ego, you don't mind if you have to live for another 1,000 years, but if you have to drop the body right here, right now.
Mm.
The issue is body identity. I am here and then I want to be there. Then, because there is all that is for the body.
Mm.
I mean, again, I mean, if I have the means, I will be, I don't know, I'm telling you. Far, far, far. Funny because I was living kind of a monastic life, you know.
Yeah.
The only thing is that I was not even in the ashram, but the life was the same. It was just 3 blocks away, right? And most of my activities were inside, even eating. My room was just to sleep, right, or to rest, because talks were inside, food inside. Most of the time I spend it inside. And suddenly life itself says, okay, go, right? Sorry.
It's too late.
No, this is mine.
Too late. What's that? Chocolate?
It's a huge pillow. One for you, one for me. That's what we otherwise I'll take also. That's my experience, right? I cannot prove it to anybody, but I can hear that there is something there that is way more satisfying than anything else. That doesn't mean again, right? When Ramana will go to the kitchen, he was known as being a very good cook for some reason, right?
Yeah.
The food in Ramana Ashram is just absolutely delicious, right? Especially the idlis. And then he will be preparing the chutney, for example. And when he's finished, he says, does the idli want some chutney? Like, yum, yum, right? So there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But he was happy saying so, doing so. That's the whole point.
Yeah. I stayed at an ashram for 5 weeks, so not a really long time, but they had me cook a lot. And it was really stressful, but I actually really loved being there because I didn't feel like I needed to go anywhere else. I actually didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay there, and it felt great. And if I did have to go out for work, I always felt really great coming back. Like I was able to breathe once I got back to the ashram.
The thing is that you're doing service. And when you do something,
Yeah.
when you do something for the other, you forget about yourself.
Yeah.
So in this self-forgetfulness, there is happiness.
Yeah. But I did love that, but I like being of service. Yeah.
This is why sometimes some gurus allow devotees to do things for him. Because automatically they feel happy because they forget about themselves.
Yeah.
Baba used to say, first God, then the world, and last you.
Hmm.
First the thought about what represents whatever it is that represents your reality, right?
Yeah.
Then everybody else, right? Last, me.
Hmm.
So this is karma yoga also.
Yeah.
The I is crucified in the action. The sense of doership disappears during the action. Right? When there is self-forgetfulness, when there's no self-interest.
Hmm.
You see what happened in these places. It's an amazing stories about Ramana versus. He will wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. He will be the first at the canteen, at the kitchen, right? And if somebody will try to go earlier, he will try to go even earlier, right? And he will be seen mostly chopping vegetables. Now sometimes teachers will pass by and didn't notice that he was the Maharshi. He was just another dude sitting on the floor chopping vegetables. So that means nobody can run away from duties, from karma, from action. Nobody. We will have a list to walk somewhere and beg food and eat it. See, some action will take place. There is no place to hide. I can imagine Ramana Maharshi wanted to be alone and say, oh shit, look at all, I have to look after all this. The infrastructure and the people. The physical structure and the mental structure of the people.
Busy.
That means he no longer had a life for himself, right? What himself gone. Self anyway. That's the real meaning of sacrifice. When you sacrifice is yourself. The self-sacrifice. Everybody, when they do ritual, they sacrifice something for the god, right? But they want something in return. Like it's a business transaction. I give you this, so they can give me that, right? I bring you this, right? Even if you ask for a miracle, right? They're asking for something. So this is the offering. I sacrifice this and put it in the fire, right? When you do the rituals, you put whenever somebody jumps in the fire, see, an offering themselves.
That's true sacrifice.
To sacrifice the ego.
Yeah.
I was told self-confidence brings about self-satisfaction. Self-satisfaction brings self-sacrifice. Self-sacrifice brings self-realization. In this case, self is the self. See? Self-confidence is confidence in the self, right? In the self, and that you are the self. And you are satisfied. And then you sacrifice yourself, right? And that leads to self-realization. Sometimes I find funny when people ask me to repeat. I never forget what I was told. You just came here and stayed there. It didn't go.
I like that.
We must absorbed these words of wisdom, I might call it like that, right? Hold it, right? Dearly. Ponder about it. You never forget. And when you need them, they will come to your rescue. It doesn't matter in what trouble you are. The knowledge of the self will bring surrender to the self. I remember Ramana saying to a devotee that told him, when I am here, I feel like I am in heaven. Out here, I feel like I will go to hell. And Ramana said, even if you go to hell, I will go there and rescue you.
That's nice.
So we have to surrender.
Yeah. Yeah.
This symbolically represents an inner attitude, not a physical attitude. To surrender body identity. Surrender body identity is surrender to the self. It is said that when the Ramas were bringing the Christian to the Colosseum, right, to be eaten by beasts, they will show no sign of suffering. They will be in ecstasy, till the point that they have to stop doing it because it was no longer fun for the public.
Right.
And all these games were just to keep the people happy, entertained. This is like the TV now, right?
Yeah.
I'm happy with the establishment that pleases the good Lord. This is a long story. A very old strategy. They will be eaten by the beast, the lion. They will somehow experience the so-called rapture. It's not that somebody will come from heaven, an alien or something. The rapture is internal, right?
Mm, definitely.
Lisa,
Yes.
you said earlier that when you were talking to Shani that when the dog threw her into no mind or stopped her mind, and then all of the suffering came up to the surface?
No. I meant that there are those occasions when the mind is paralyzed, when the mind is stopped.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is you, for example, are, let's say, washing the dishes, right? And you are fighting with your boss in your head. Shannon brings the bingo, and you bring the boss to the house, right?
Yeah.
Or the office or whatever, right? And then Shannon enter the house, you don't even notice it, right? And then she comes from behind and right?
Yeah.
You jump out of your skin. See? Automatically the boss, or whatever is in your head is gone.
Yeah.
Right? We don't have to pay attention to those moments, but the so-called spiritual heart, right? The self,
Mm-hmm.
it just becomes evident.
Sure.
It's a vibration there, see, a dynamo or something, right? But it is forgotten again, right? Or we may not recognize it as such. Because at the moment, even the fear is not a problem, right? The problem is come after when I start thinking about it, right? And
Yeah.
the identity with it kicks in, and now it's an issue. Till the point that I need to talk to Caesar about it. What is this all about? See? The
Yeah.
fear is no longer there, right? But the impression is so strong, right? You keep on thinking about it, right? And becomes an existential matter, right? And so important that I need to speak about it with somebody I consider, that knows better than me or is wiser or wise or whatever it is, isn't it? And it's gone. It's no longer there. It's just memory. Now, because the mind cannot survive being quiet, right? Because if it is quiet, the mind doesn't die. The mind just simply loses its sense of separation, right? Its sense of individuality, right? As long as there is body, there is mind, because body and mind are one and the same, right?
Sure.
This knowledge, this conscious self, call it whatever you like, this I-ness, I amness, whatever it is that you like to call it, right? Actually, I was working on something about the difference between Nisargadatta's words and Ramana's words. And people that really are keen about the subject, they just go deep into it. They realize that they're talking about the same thing, but Nisargadatta, using the I am as self-knowledge and not as the absolute, it creates a tremendous amount of confusion, right? If you use that word, because somebody, it must have been the translator, right? Because he didn't speak English, or who choose conveniently according to whatever he thought it was the best. Maybe he didn't try to do something wrong, right? And then change the meaning of the term I am in comparison with Ramana, right? And with anybody else, actually. And it creates a huge, I believe that many seekers got confused by that, right? And that's really, really terrible, right? So as long as there is body, this I-ness, see, is there. This subtle thought or feeling I, right? It disappears in deep sleep, right? So there's like a little death. This I disappears and the body disappears, the world disappears, and the body is the world, right? And when the I appears, the world appears, body appears, right? It is I that arises, emerges from the self, the one that identifies itself with the body, not the self.
Right.
The absolute doesn't suffer from ignorance. What kind of absolute will be an absolute that it is ignorant, right? Even though this ignorant self, right, is capable to blind the absolute. But the absolute is not ignorant. See, when the ignorance is removed and you realize yourself to be the absolute, you know that there was never ignorance. There was a superimposition of the mind only, right? It's like when I believe I am Peter and I realize, see, and when I am Caesar, right? So I was ignorant of the fact that I am Caesar, right?
Right.
So when I become aware that I am Caesar, I was never Peter, right? I was always Caesar. Therefore, I was always myself. So because the mind cannot keep quiet, it has to hold to its very dear memories, right? Images, preconceived ideas, frustrations, unsatisfied desires, the mental projections and concepts and so on, right?
Right.
I mean, this is what you mean by the mind is quiet and it brings the suffering to surface, right?
Sure. Yeah.
That's what you meant, right?
Yeah.
And the fire of the self lights up, so to speak, right?
Right.
Then the ego tries to defend itself, bringing all that to surface, right? To the surface.
Yeah. Yeah.
If this mind holds on to itself, right? If it remains self-aware, then this fire will burn all that, and the self-aware one also.
Yeah.
See, because the mind is simultaneously subject and object. Meaning by that is the seer, see, of the world. Whether perceived as separate or not. But the seer is also seen, right? So it's a subject and it is an object simultaneously. Because this subtle knowledge I, how can it exist unless it is observed? But the observer of this observer, right, cannot be seen. Neither by the observer nor by itself. It can only be, right? So to know that ultimate observer means to be, which is not empty. That's nonsense. Empty, empty. What empty can be empty? Right? It is alive, it is vibrantly alive. It's a power on its own, see, by itself. Right? Like a dynamo, see, that make all electric equipments to function. See, the body, the world, the subtle form, everything, right? Because that is, everything is. That means because you are, everything is. It's a stupid mind that is just producing this blindness, right?
Yeah.
Even when the ego, apparently the ego does the inquiry, it doesn't do it by itself. Because the mind, the mind can try to remain awake for as long as it can. Suddenly, the Lord of sleep will take over, right?
Yeah.
For how long can a human being remain awake?
Yeah.
And if it forces it, because the mind is the body, it will damage the body, right? Nervous system and all that stuff. Huh?
Yeah.
So this I doesn't have even the power to come to surface and to disappear. Spontaneously appear in the waking state, spontaneously goes on in the dream state, and spontaneously disappear in deep sleep. So how can
Right.
it claims to have free will after it arises, right?
Yeah.
It arises, grabs the body, claims to be, this is mine, see? Or this is I, and all this is mine, see? Rises in hand and declares its independence. See? I am a separate individual self. I'm here all by myself. And I can go here and there as I please, see? By my own freedom of choice. And then enlightenment strikes the body and Mr. I is gone. So, how powerful is it? This is why it's called also, ego is also called arrogance.
Thank you.
So stupid comes. You know, there was an argument. Somebody wanted to write, somebody came to my talks once. So still I consider that person my friend. I don't know if that person considers me her friend. And I still was living in Puttaparthi, was giving talks there outside. And this woman came to me, boy, it was not old woman, but it must be around middle 60s, right? Mid 60s or something. Half Indian, half Portuguese. I'm British. I'm living in England, something like that. And she said to me, do you have any written material? I said, no. Did you have any recording? He said, somebody's doing it, but I'm not interested in write anything or record myself. Say, what you say has to be written, right? And I would like to write all that stuff. I want to have this material.
Right.
And it happened to be the person that translated and wrote, not translated, that wrote the last two books of Nisargadatta Maharaj, Beyond Freedom, and something that came later on, some tape recordings that appear after the last book of him that was Beyond Freedom. And then we came with a mini book. It's a pocket book with one sentence on each page, like the last one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was such an issue with the terms consciousness and awareness. My God. He was coming from Nisargadatta school, right? And he was friend of also Ramesh Balsekar and would give to his house and his talks and all that stuff. And I said, no, man, the word that I know is consciousness. No, that is awareness. I said, oh, good Lord. And at the end, we have to do it according to what she saw was a concept.
Oh.
And then other issues came later. I don't want to say that because I really don't mean anything bad, or anything. Because the content was perfectly right, the translation was perfectly right. But the use of the terms.
You're not right. Okay.
That's the beauty of Sanskrit. See? There is a precise word for each thing and brings no confusion. The confusion comes with interpretation and the translation. Atman, para Atman, right? Brahman, para Brahman. Consciousness, super consciousness, and so on. Right? This is where the people get trapped. And this is what we struggle with, right? The milkshake of concept, because we take the concept literal. Because this is just a pointer, right? It's a reference, that's all. So this I that associate with the body is reflection, the mind. Let's call it like that. It's reflection, right? So when the mind is quiet, this I is felt like something very subtle, right? When the mind doesn't identify itself with the body, it doesn't feel that this I is material. See, it's gross, it's subtle, right? This is why the mind is also called subtle body. See, it's an object, right? It's material, but it's more subtle, right? And the inquiry is from where this I is coming from. From where the thoughts are coming from, see? From me. Automatically the thought is gone, see? The thought comes back to the thinker. And then, who is this thinker, right? That means that sends the thinker to its source, right? So from where the thoughts are coming from, brings the thought to the thinker, from me, right? Then, who am I? Sends me to the source. Who is the thinker? I. See? The attention is already went from thought to thinker, I. Then from where this I emerged. And people say it merges into the source, right? It doesn't merge. It cannot be more merged than what it is. It's just separate from the source. It's just not aware of it, right? And then the source reveals itself. And then the sense of separation disappeared. It was never separate. That's the meaning of merging, right? It was not separate. How can it merge, right? It's a realization that it was never separate or united. This is that. That is this. They are not two. This is Advaita, not two. As long as this body identity is standing, oh good Lord, all the troubles will remain. We'll keep on putting ourselves in troubles. And here is the beauty, that if we surrender or we lose the sense of separation, even all the consequences, okay, of our stupid behavior can be wiped out. And if not, you will not be affected. Because you will not be identified with the body that is going through all that. So with this happy note, I have to go. Spanish people, sorry about that. Gente habla hispana, hoy Australia, monopolio. Australian got the monopoly today. Nice. There's no, I think what we spoke today, okay, we began with something, right? The dog and all the stuff, but somehow we pointed into this direction because it
Yeah, that's right.
is connected, right? So see you tomorrow. Nos vemos mañana.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Today, English class for Spanish people.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, Spanish class for English and Russian people. Okay, bye-bye. Hasta mañana. ¿Listo? Ah.